Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of NOA's podcast. Today we have a very remarkable guest with us. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Walaikum assalam.
Today our guest is Miss Qandeel Fatima Memon, who is currently serving as Assistant Commissioner Rawalpindi Kent, right?
That's true.
Okay, thank you so much for coming here today. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
All right, so before going deeper into the conversation, I would like to know a little bit about you on personal level. So could you please share your background and how you sort of ended up what you are doing today?
Okay, I belong to a middle class family. I
Uh-huh.
am Sindhi speaking and I belong to a district called Nosher Feroz. My
Okay.
initial education was from Hyderabad. My father used to serve in Wabda, so because of him and his postings, we have a lot of exposure in Sindh and in KPK as well. After that, we got settled in Hyderabad so that our education doesn't get affected while he used to have, postings in different places. I did my bachelor's in actuarial science and risk management from Karachi, IOBM
Okay.
Karachi, and then I did my MBA in finance. Now, before even my graduation began, my father wanted me to do CSS. He knew
Okay.
that
Yeah.
I that I was studious, I was very good at studies, so he really wanted me to go for it.
Yeah.
But then those were the years after A levels when you're not really sure what you want to do in your life and you want to experiment different things, and that is how I ended up doing actuarial science, which was a very difficult and a very different field, and people had not been focused on that by that time.
Yeah.
So I began doing it, and as soon as I completed it, I got the same year when I finished my graduation, I got engaged. And luckily, my father-in-law, he was also very very enthusiastic, and he really wanted, he was very determined, and he
That's
wanted
really
me to do it
nice.
as well.
Yeah.
So that is when I got pressures from both the ends, from my father and from my father-in-law, and they
Father-in-law.
really wanted me to give this attempt. I had begun MBA in finance by then. So then I took a break in MBA and I gave this exam. I was married by that time. I gave this exam after my marriage, and I have been very lucky, mashallah, that I've gotten support from both the ends,
Yes,
like my
mashallah.
parental side, mashallah, and also from my in-laws. My husband had been very supportive through all the mood swings that I used to have, because there are days when you feel like this is not something that I can do.
Yes.
This is not an exam
Yes.
that I can qualify. And then there are days when you feel really low and you don't feel like studying. And then
Yeah.
there are others when you feel like you don't have the right person to take guidance from. So through the entire process, my husband had been very helpful, mashallah. And then that is how I gave this exam and cleared it.
So, can you please tell me when did you join the civil services? Like back in like which year?
I cleared this exam in 2017. Like I gave an attempt of 17.
Okay.
February 17 में exam हुआ था, and then by October I guess we received the result, and that is when I found out that I had cleared it. 2018 में हमारी trainings होना शुरू हुई.
Okay.
And I must add that when I was giving the exam, I was expecting in those days,
Oh, okay.
and I had given birth to a baby girl, and she was only like 8 days old when I received the exam of the written part, and
Okay.
I found out that I had cleared it. So everybody in my family told me that it's because of the blessings that a girl brings,
Yes.
and that has led to me clearing this exam. फिर उसके बाद the trainings and पहले तो interviews and then the tayaris and all that.
Yeah.
That is a very long journey. So yeah, but I joined in 2017. So ours batch is 46th common.
Yeah. So you said that your daughter was 8 days old when you got your written part result, right?
That's right.
So after that, like you have to go to the through the interview, and then you got allocated. So फिर आपकी training होती है that happens in Lahore in the common training. So how did you manage that? Because leaving your daughter behind and going for your training.
Actually, we always have an option to keep our children there. There's a
Okay.
separate
Yeah.
hostel which is dedicated only for the mothers.
Mm-hmm.
It has bigger rooms and a play area and a dedicated ayah, who's there to look after your children while you're taking the class.
Okay.
But my daughter was only 1 year old, and I didn't want her to, to feel lonely
Yeah.
or to miss me when I'm there taking the classes and undergoing the entire training, because the training hours are very tough.
Yeah.
Like it begins like early in the morning, 5 baje we used to have PT, and then like at 5, and then after that we used to come back, get dressed and go for the classes. There's a specific time on which we get the breakfast and then lunch and then dinner. If we miss that time, we don't get any food. So I would not have been able to manage things with her being so tiny, and then I didn't want her to be left at the maid's convenience to be fed by her or to be given beds by her. So I left her back in Hyderabad for my training, which was for about like 1.5 years. And oh my god, I used to have sessions of crying in which I was used to miss her, because she is my first child, and I missed all the milestones that she qualified. Her managing how to walk, her babbling and everything. So I missed all that.
You missed
So
all
I
that.
used to cry a lot, and I used to miss her. But then, thanks to my mother who was taking care of her back in Hyderabad, so I could manage my training, and I knew that she was in safer hands. So that is how I passed through that period.
It would have been like quite hard for you. Like,
It
I
was.
understand leaving your child behind, and then you would have been missing your child badly, and being the first child. As
It was very
I
difficult.
understand. So, आपकी service में like it have been like 3 to 4 years.
It's
now?
been 5 years now.
It's
mashallah.
been 5 years now.
Yeah,
तो जितना अरसा हो गया, जितने साल आपने गुजारे, how have they been? अगर मुझे थोड़ी सी summary मिल जाए उसकी.
Actually, things are very glossy when you see them from outside. For people who are not in service, for people who are still struggling, for aspirants, for the locals, what they see is that they see we are traveling in government given cars, we live in houses that are provided by government, we
Yes.
are enjoying perks as per them. But this service is not about that. This service is not about having a blue light on top of your car, and then
Yeah, that's just part of it.
that's just
Just
a very
part,
small
yeah.
part of it. That's just a very small. I think from outside, it seems like these things matter a lot. But for us, it's important that the decisions we take are the ones that are there in the public interest. Whatever we decide in the revenue courts that are held by us, like we are literally the judge of the entire revenue matter.
Yes.
Whatever we decide, whatever our final signatures are on, that impacts so many people that there are things that you literally like ponder upon for days before deciding them. So the service is not only about showcasing all the glorious things.
It's a huge
it's a
responsibility
huge
on your
responsibility.
shoulders. Yeah.
And it's a responsibility that is being that is affecting so many people out there, that you are a little careful and cautious in whatever you do. Service is about helping people in whatever manner you can.
Yeah.
People out there, when they come to you, when they bring their problems to you, you get to see that they are so much troubled by the departments, by the
Yeah.
people, by the general tensions that are there
Yeah.
affecting them. People are affected by literally everything that's going around
True that.
around
True
us.
that. Yeah.
Be it inflation, be it the hike in the prices of petrol or whatever. The furious awam wants some, addressing of their grievances.
Yes.
So that is what the service is about. What I've learned in all these years is that the only satisfaction that you get is by helping others.
True
The
that.
more you solve their problems, the more,
You
prayers you
satisfied,
get.
you feel the prayers you get.
get.
Yes.
There are old people running from one office to another from years, and they're being troubled by people around them. If you help them, even if you cannot help them, even if you guide them how to go about it, there are things that revenue department cannot help you, but you can guide them, the departments that they can be helped from.
Yeah.
If they have to go to the court, you can simply tell them the procedure to go there. So you can give them a proper path to go through, to walk through, and they will be forever praying for you, and they'll be always thankful to you.
Yeah.
So that is what the summary of the services.
Yeah, I got it. All right, so expanding this conversation, since we're talking about the civil services right now, so when a person likes you come to the show, so the CSS aspirants, they make sure to watch the show. So can you please make us go through this process? Because as per my knowledge, you have to appear in written examination and later on interview and then the training thing. So if briefly you can make us go through the whole process.
Okay, so it basically begins by preparation, right? Firstly, you need to make sure that the mentor that you select or the teachers that are guiding you are right. Take it. There are lots of academies and tutors and people who had not cleared this exam by themselves, and they are teaching, or people who have not really landed up in a very good place, and they are the ones giving guidance about it. So firstly, make sure that the mentor that you choose, that the person you look forward to, is someone who you can rely, who himself or herself has gotten at a good position. Firstly, after the preparation comes the stage when you have to apply for the exam in October. For the whole month, these openings are there. You can fill the form online, you can submit it. There's a basic fee of 2,200 rupees that you have to submit in NBP, the National Bank of Pakistan. And after you're done with the form and everything, October is the only month where this opening is there. You have to look for the dates as well. So after that, February is the month in which you basically have to attempt the written part.
The written examination.
Okay. Now what has happened is that there has been this exam which is like MCQ based, which is basically there to judge if you can qualify for the written part or not. So this is like the pre-written one. So that happens, and then you go for the written. And this is something new, because like when I give the exam, we didn't have to go for that MPT. Now you have to go for that multiple choice question paper as well. In February, you give the exam, and then it's very important that you do not stop preparing yourself for that. Even if you are 100% sure that you'll clear this exam in that attempt of yours, you must keep on revising yourself with whatever information is available on internet or whatever notes you have made. And at the same time, you must also be keeping in view all the current affairs, things that are happening around you. Then comes after February, it comes like the results come in September, October, or November, depends. You get to know whether you have cleared the written part or not. If you have cleared the written part, then comes the next stage when you have to go for the medical test. It's just like they check your body and everything, your eyesight and things like that. And then you have to sit for a psychological interview, that is not basically, that doesn't have any score, but that really impacts the group that the individual, the interviewer or the interviewing panel will give you. So psychological interview is very important as well. After that comes the final interview, and then by like June or July, mid-July, you get to know whether you have cleared the interview or not. And then September or October is, in between these months, you are called for the training, which is called CTP, Common Training Program. All the groups that are there, like there are 12 groups in CSS, all the people who have come in all those groups are basically invited for that training. They have to go, they have to undergo, that's complimentary for compulsory. I mean, that's compulsory for you. And all the candidates that have landed up in all those 12 groups have to undergo that training for 6 months. The basic purpose is for your entire batch to gel in, so that you know who is in which group, and obviously this is a world in which you can rely on each other. You eventually have to rely on each other for some work or the other. So it's a basically blending period for all the people who have cleared the exam that year.
Yeah.
And then after 6 months of common training program, which is held in Lahore, CSA, then comes this phase when your STP, specialized training program, begins, which is for different periods. For PS, it's 10 months. For PSP, it's 9 months or so. So it's like different.
It's different for different groups, right?
Different for different groups.
Okay.
And all the all the people who have landed in PSP go to Lahore, go to Islamabad. All those in PAS stay in Lahore in a different PS academy.
Okay.
So basically, they then is the period. Then they all scatter and they go in different cities for their specialized training. After that, you are given exposure of whatever you're doing these days.
Okay, so Qandeel, being a lady officer in a field that is dominated by male, right? So are there any instances where you felt or where you faced this gender discrimination?
There are many. There are many. We face them every single day. We live in a male patriarchal society who truly believes that the positions of authority are for men. When I initially joined, I had to make a mark for myself. I had to, literally struggle to convince others that I am equally capable of my male counterparts, and I can, run the tehsil or talka in an equally efficient manner. So yes, while working, we have an extra burden, all for all the women officers there in the field or in the secretariat. We have an extra burden on our shoulders to prove it to the world and to our colleagues that we are equally efficient and we are equally capable of this position as the other male officers are. Overall, if I talk about how it has been for me, there are tasks, even in Muharram, there was an area which was problematic last year, and there was some fighting, and it was highly likely that things will worsen this year.
Okay.
So that area came under my jurisdiction. So for an instance, my superiors asked me if I was okay with that particular area and the responsibility of that area being given to another AC who is a male, so that you can look after the rest of your tehsil while that particular matter can be given to some other AC. So I told my superiors very clearly that since that falls in my jurisdiction, and since I know the this very sensitivity of that matter, I will not bother standing there at 2 a.m. in the night and ensuring that that julus and that procession ends peacefully. And I told my boss that I don't have to take guns or anything, right? I'm not the one providing security. I just have to provide and look after the administrative arrangements, and I have to make sure that nothing goes wrong. So I'll be there in the field without telling you that it's very late, that I need to go home and that my kids are there or whatever. I'll be there in the field at whatever time you ask me to. But since that falls in my jurisdiction, I wouldn't want it to be given to someone else. So yes, but my boss is like polite enough to ask me, right? Normally bosses or subordinates don't. Superiors don't. They just give it to someone thinking that you might not be able to handle things. So yeah, we do face this every day. But I think only by working in a very good manner and only by showing your performance can you fight this notion that women cannot work or women are not suitable for this job.
This is so true, like not just when it comes to civil services, but in any other field, even on the domestic level as well. Women face so many issues, like the issues that come right now to my mind, like the economic disparity, because women will be paid less than men doing the same work. Is there access to education, access to healthcare facilities, the underrepresentation which influence their voice in decision making. These are just to name few, the double standards of the society
True.
that places unrealistic pressure on the women. So these are the issues that women face. So any such issue that you would like to talk about?
Um, See, I feel heavily burdened by my how I carry myself is basically how I influence others to give permissions to their daughters or to their daughter-in-laws to work or not. So I feel that that burden is also on me, that how I'll carry myself and how I will stay in this service
Yeah.
is how other people will see me. And if I give a positive impression of that, they might allow their daughters or the sisters or their daughter-in-laws to join the service or join whatever
Yes.
career path they want to join. I think that it's equally important to make sure that not only you leave a good impression, but you also inspire them
Yes.
to make sure that they think of women or the girls in their families as something other than their daughter or other than their sister or any such relation.
Yeah.
They have an identity of their own,
True.
which they should be given a chance to prove.
True that.
Since I've worked in rural areas as well, I've seen how things go and how people, think of their daughters. Now, even if we take doctors, the lady doctors, they go through the entire, they clear their graduation and they go for the specialization or whatever, and then they're not made to work because they are gotten married to
True
someone,
that. Yes.
and then the seats go,
Yeah.
they just go in vain because those doctors that the universities made are not really the ones that are serving in the field. So that is because men in the society do not believe that a woman can handle both things very well.
True.
That is the concept that has to be changed. A woman can be equally good at managing her career path
True
as
that.
well as managing her house, because this thing is somewhat inbuilt in a woman's system that she's very good at making home, right? She's very good at managing things at her home, at looking after her husband or children or parents. So that thing is already inbuilt in her.
Yeah.
What she needs to be supported on is following what her dreams truly are. So this change is something that needs to be brought among people.
Yeah, and this is one of one of the purposes that, like, we want to call such people to the shows, because people look up to you. Even sitting here, I look up to you, and
Thanks, that's very kind of
similarly, there are so many women out there who look up to you. So, like, being a role model, that's again another responsibility,
Yeah.
because you have to be very careful
Very
in
careful.
carrying out your life.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's actually true. Okay, so Qandeel, you have children, right? We were just talking before starting the show that you have 3 kids, mashallah.
Yes, mashallah.
तो ये वर्क लाइफ और जो आपकी पर्सनल लाइफ होती है, जो आपकी वर्क लाइफ होती है, बिकॉज दे आर 2 सेपरेट वर्ल्ड्स, ये 2 बिल्कुल मुख्तलिफ, तो इनको बैलेंस करना वुड हैव बीन वेरी डिफ़िकल्ट फॉर यू. और जितनी मेरी आपसे अभी तक बात हो चुकी है, सो लाइक यू हैव बीन फेसिंग इट सिंस when you got allocated and you had a small daughter with you. तो अभी तब से लेके अभी तक, I know it has been challenging, but how you sort of like carrying it?
It's essential for your family to be supportive in this.
Yes.
My husband, my parents-in-law, mashallah, they've been very supportive in this
Mashallah.
since the beginning. And I think the reason why I'm mentioning them is probably for the second time is because I want the listeners to know that it's very, very, essential for you to support the women in your family, because only then they can blossom.
Yeah.
So my mother has been taking care of my children even while I'm sitting here, like as we speak.
Hmm.
My children are with my mother, who has left her house back in Hyderabad and who lives with me, because she realizes that since my job is difficult and since there are no
Hmm.
proper working hours, so children need to be looked after and taken care
Hmm.
of. So she's the one handling them.
Hmm.
There are days when I have to work and my mother's not around, so my husband looks after the children. And then there are other days when and things are going like very, very busy and I cannot
Hmm. I
focus
understand.
on
Hmm.
the children. So someone from my in-laws just pops up to
Yeah.
look after them. So this chain of
Hmm.
support has to be there.
Yeah, it's very important. The
Very
moral support of
important.
your family.
It's very
Hmm.
important. See, it's not easy for me being a mother and being
Hmm.
an officer to look after both things.
Hmm.
But trust me, the moment I get free from my work, I make sure that I run back to my home,
Hmm.
so that whatever like 2 hours I have before they go to sleep, I give that to them.
I spend them with my
I
children.
spend it with
Yeah.
them. I don't want my kids to grow up and tell me that they never found me when they needed me.
Hmm.
So I don't want them to feel that they're not loved or that they're not being taken care of. So
Hmm.
even before, no matter how tired I am, even before going to sleep or putting them to sleep, I make sure that we this very small game we play before
Hmm.
before I put them to sleep. So I make sure that no matter how tired I am, I sit with them, I give time to them. Um, as important it is for a man to give that independence to the woman
Mm-hmm.
and to let her work,
Yeah.
it's equally important for the woman to realize that children, that husband, that the
Hmm.
house is her responsibility, and she is the one who has to make sure that a balance is
Right.
maintained between the two.
Right.
So yes, it's extremely important and it's extremely tiring, but at the same time, it's very rewarding when you see that your children are happy with
Hmm.
you, and so is your superior or your boss, and your work is being taken care of. Your children are being fed well; they're being taken care of.
Hmm.
So it's very rewarding. Alhamdulillah.
So I wish you good luck,
Thank you.
and I can say that you are a super mom as well.
Thank you.
Because striking the balance between your work and your personal life, it has never been easy, but then again you have to do it
Yeah.
for yourself, for your children, and for your family. Okay, moving to the next step, I would like to talk a little about CSS, because the aspirants do watch such kind of shows. So I have heard that majority aspirants, when they appear in the exam, especially for the first time, so the highest ratio of failure is have been seen in English essay, Persian composition, and then when it comes to Islamiyat as well. So what do you think? What would be your comment on this? कि like ऐसा क्यों होता है?
I've said this earlier in some interview of mine as well, that
Mhm.
it's important that you improve your English.
Mhm.
There are people who know that they're not very good at English. And since 12 exams are in English, okay, even if you give Samiyat in Urdu, so
Urdu.
like 11 exams are in English. So you
Yeah.
have to be good at it. You have to make sure that whatever you are writing makes sense to the one who's reading it.
Hmm.
The invigilator doesn't really have much time. He has lots of scripts to check. So he wouldn't really, go through the entire uh, answer script of yours. He'll just look at the outline of the essay and maybe a few, the starting, a few pages from the center and the end.
Mhm.
Whatever he sees should be the one what he really wants to see,
Yeah.
right? And that comes with practice. A lot of students make this mistake that they don't write answers or essays and they don't get it checked.
Hmm.
They believe that since they've read it and they have sufficient knowledge, so they'll be able to manage the writing whatever
Yeah.
comes in the essay. But that is not true. It's not necessary that whatever you write and whatever you know is relevant to what is being asked. So you might know everything about Kashmir issue, but they've not really asked it in the manner that you have learnt it.
Hmm.
So you need to have, answer.
Hmm.
You need to write answers from different angles. You need to solve past papers. You need to get them checked from someone who's a reliable source, so that you get to know that whatever you're writing is basically what the examiner wants to read and what the examiner will give you score on. Another thing is that there are certain rules of Pressy and essay, and those rules are there since years, right? But all the aspirants are not aware of them. So they have to learn those, and they have to make sure that they don't commit those mistakes, because those mistakes will lead to them having very less score. And this is what, the not following the rules is what basically leads to them having a very poor score in essay or Pressy. As far as Islamiyat is concerned, aspirants think, or the applicants think, that writing a lot of things from Quran Pak or from or quoting a lot of ahadith will get them good score. Yes, these things do help, but at the same time you also have to make sure that the content you write is relevant. They don't write relevant stuff, and just because they remember a hadith that has the word woman in it, and that is not even relevant, but since the question was something related to gender or to women, and just because they know that hadith and they want to adjust it somewhere, so they'll just write it. Make sure that whatever is written is relevant and is basically in a flow. It should have a proper beginning, a proper body, which talks about, if it's an essay, it talks about the possible causes, or whatever the factors are, and then a very peaceful and a very nice conclusion. Also, it's important to show that since you will be, in public service, and since you are the one, if you clear, you are the one who is expected to hold a position of authority. You should have very reasonable and doable solutions to the problems that you have mentioned. Just writing solution for the sake of, or recommendation for the sake of writing, will not fetch you marks. Come up with something which is doable, which is easy to implement, which is realistic. Those recommendations will fetch you a good score if those are written in a good manner. So yes, the key to cracking CSS is basically not writing what you want to write, not writing what you really have learned or what you know. You have to write
what's been asked,
what the question is demanding, what the examiner wants to see. You have to think from the invigilators or the examiners, the checkers' point of view. Something that he will give you score in, be it something that you're not holding an opinion about, or that you're not very good at, or that you're not convinced about, that's fine. But since you have written it in a manner that has convinced the invigilator, that is how you get the score.
As you said, that practice is the key, because a lot of aspirants, they do not practice. Sometimes they are confident, sometimes they are overconfident as well. और इससे मुझे एक इंसिडेंट याद आता है. वन ऑफ माई टीचर्स टोल्ड मी, बिकॉज आई यूज्ड टू बी लाइक इन द बिगिनिंग दैट because I have done bachelor's in English, so I used to say that I'm a student from English background, तो चलो English ऐसे और Pressy का तो हो गया मेरा, इसको तो side पे करें, let's focus on the other subjects. So one of my teachers told me that confidence is a good thing, it's a very good thing, but this overconfidence can be a double-edged sword for you. So don't go for it. So yes, then after that I started practicing, and I haven't appeared yet, but I'll be appearing soon.
Good luck
in 2024.
with that. Yeah, good luck with that. And then yes, that's very right. Overconfidence will drown you like anything.
Yeah,
it's not good. No matter how good your exam, I don't know, I've always been like that. No matter how good I've attempted the paper, I will not be very sure that I'll clear it. So when I gave CSS, I was like, I'm not sure, let's see. I was not, very overconfident about it, because overconfidence really, pulls you down.
Yeah.
And people who were with me and who gave this exam and who were very confident that, I have written things that none of the other applicants would
and
have written.
And I am going to clear it, and like, it's done already.
And they had stopped studying further,
Yeah.
and had stopped preparing. They had literally started preparing for the interview, not even knowing if they had actually cleared the written or not. So such things will pull you down, such
Yeah.
things will drown you. Don't do that. Confidence is, to some extent, is
It's
good.
Huh.
Confidence on how you have prepared, confidence of how you have given answers to the questions, on how you've attempted the paper. Yes, but do not be too confident that you'll clear it.
Yeah. Okay, moving to the optional subjects. We have mm, talked about the compulsory subjects. अब थोड़ा सा optional subjects के बारे में बात करते हैं. Do you think that background ज़रूरी होता है या नहीं होता, and interest का factor किस हद तक matter करता है? Scoring trend होते हैं, then there are some factors like overlapping with other subjects. तो ये जो सारी चीज़ें ना, like एक aspirant को mind में ये चीज़ें रख के एक optional subjects को choose करना चाहिए. So like what would be your comment on this? How should the aspirants go when they're about to like pick the option subject from different groups?
Okay, I'll answer it step by step. You asked about optional subjects में interest का या background का. It does matter.
Okay.
It does. ठीक है.
Okay.
Now, for example, I took accounting and auditing, and I also took business administration.
Because
Now,
your majors is in
in finance.
Okay.
My majors is in finance. But I took both these subjects because I had done accounting in O levels and A levels, and I had done business in O and A levels as well.
Okay.
So somewhere in my mind, I knew how these subjects work. And in accounting and in business, both, I had like very good score. So yes, your background does help you, and your interest helps you as well, because there are certain subjects which are not, which people do not think that they're very scoring. But since you have had an interest in it, or you have a good knowledge base in it, so aspirants can clear it. For example, when I opted for, I had not given the exam by that time, but when I had told one of the teachers, he helped, he was helping me through the CSS journey. So when I told him that accounting and auditing was one of the majors that I had taken, since it's of 200 marks, so there was another subject that he was insisting me to take, because that subject is basically taught in that particular academy.
Okay.
So he told me that, accounting was not suitable for me, and that it's not going to fetch me good marks. So I came home and I was very worried, and I was, confused, because teachers do confuse you, right?
Yeah.
Teachers do confuse you. I'm not saying all, but
the more you ask, the more you get confused.
Exactly. And the more you start doubting on your decision and your mind, the path that you have chosen. So I discussed it with my husband, and told me that, he told me that he knew that I was good at these subjects and I shouldn't change them. So yes, interest will get you through, even if you have not. I didn't, study accounting and auditing in that academy. In fact, in any academy, I did it all on my own, because I have interest in it, and I'm good with the numbers, and I'm good in those subjects. So yes, interest does matter.
Okay.
But these subjects are designed in a manner that you will have to choose a subject that you have not studied earlier. But that's okay. There are certain factors you see. There does exist the scoring trend that you asked me about. There are years in which one subject will fetch you really good marks, and the very next year that subject might be hit, and that subject might not give you really good marks, no matter what you have written. Scoring trend does exist. But having said that, if you have practiced well, if you have written well, if you have had a good knowledge base on that particular subject, you can clear it. Even if you do not clear it in score that is like in 80s, but even in 60s, you can have a pretty good score and you can clear it. These, this is the entire working that an individual has to do for himself.
Yeah.
No one can tell an aspirant if he has taken perfect subjects or not. Only he himself can convince himself. So no matter how many years you have studied for a subject, that doesn't really get in your brain. So even if you've studied for like 3 years for it, you might not end up getting a very good score in it. But a subject that you have studied for like 2-3 months and you're confident about, and you have enough knowledge about, that might be a subject that you score good in. Optional subjects have to be selected very, very very carefully, because
Yeah.
those subjects are the one which normally decide the group that you'll fall in.
Yes.
So they have to be carefully chosen. They have to be worked on. Past papers have to be seen and screened out. This entire syllabus has to be seen. So yeah, one has to be very, very careful in the optional
when
subjects.
it comes to selecting optional
Optional
subjects.
yes.
Yes, because I have heard that people say that compulsory आपको pass करने होते हैं, and then you have to pick marks in your optional subject, and that's what gives you the edge.
हाँ, क्योंकि see, this 6 compulsory subjects are the ones that everybody has taken,
Yeah.
right? Nobody has a choice to drop any of those. But the 6 optional subjects that you have taken are the ones that can define your group to be better than the other person who's giving the exam. So if you have an interest in the optional subject that you have chosen, or if you're good at it, and if you have practiced it well, then the likelihood of you falling in a good group is more than the person who has crammed the subject that probably somebody told him is scoring, and he himself doesn't have an interest or a background in. So it's better that you take something that you have an interest in, but at the same time you have to study well for it, so that you get a good score to be able to fall in a good group.
Yeah, thank you so much. You have talked about it in such detail, and it would definitely help the aspirants as well. Let's come to a quick rapid fire.
Okay.
Okay. So the first question would be, if you could give a TED talk on any women's empowerment topic, what would it be?
I've never thought of it. I think it would be on how to make your name, or how to make your mark in this service.
Nice. Good. Okay. So what's your advice for young girls aspiring to make a difference in the world?
My best wishes for you. All the support goes for you. Whatever you do, make sure that you follow your dreams, and at the same time you make your father or your brother or your family members proud. Do not leave them behind. They are equally important to you.
Okay. If you could time travel and meet your younger self, what empowering advice would you give to her, to your younger self?
I was not very talkative in the beginning. I used to shy away. I wasn't a debater. I wasn't someone who can, confidently go up the stage and perform. So yeah, I will try to, advise myself to be a little more confident.
All right. Overcoming obstacles or shattering stereotypes?
Overcoming obstacles.
Confidence or resilience as the key to empowerment?
Resilience.
Empowering girls through education or community development projects?
Community development projects. I'm a huge fan of those.
Office desk or field visits?
Field visits, any day.
Field visits.
Yeah, but ask me to visit some site at 3 a.m. in the night and I wouldn't mind.
And you'll be there?
I'll be there, yes.
Okay, nice. Street food or a home-cooked traditional meal?
I'm a junk foodie, so yeah, street food.
Street food. So you like fast food, right?
Yes, I do. Any day.
Family gatherings or quiet evenings for personal downtime?
Family gatherings. I don't know, over the period I've become a very social butterfly, so I would want to be surrounded by a lot of people who I like.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee.
I drink like 5 cups a day.
Innovation or tradition?
Innovation.
Leadership or collaboration?
Collaboration.
Books or movies?
Movies.
Movies. Okay. Technology or nature?
Nature.
Nature. Planner or spontaneous?
Planned.
Planner. Morning or night?
Night.
Night.
I don't like waking up early.
City or countryside?
City.
City. You like cities more than
Yes.
Okay.
That's because I like to go out a lot.
Okay. So the final would be introvert or extrovert?
I don't know.
I already know about that somehow during the entire conversation. You used to be
an introvert earlier,
and now you are like
short of confidence. I was short of confidence back then. Extrovert. And
Extrovert.
that does bring me a lot of trouble sometimes, because there are things that I don't have to say, or that I shouldn't be saying in front of some people, and then I end up, splitting those things, and then I'm like, oops, this person was not supposed to have this information. So yeah, extrovert, but limited extrovert, I guess.
All right. So my final question would be, I'll be asking two advices. One for the women, for the young girls, for the females, and one for the CSS aspirants.
For the CSS aspirants, in fact, this is for like male and female both.
Yeah.
Work hard, because hard work, makes your dreams come true.
True.
Hard work is a very key factor in what you do in your life. But hard work in the right direction is what will sail you through. If you work hard on things, and even in CSS preparation, if you work hard on subjects that you are not good at, or if you work on other factors and other subjects, and you leave essay and pressy behind, thinking that you'll be able to do them because you are good at English, or you know how to speak English well. So hard work is the key, but hard work in the right direction.
Yeah.
So you need to have a proper ratio of which subject has to have what amount of your time. Also, I am a huge advisor of a person having a scheduled time for all the activities. So like you have, like, in the morning, if you start studying at 8, so 8 to 12 is one subject, 12 to 1 is like, even if it's namaz or food break, whatever, 1 to 4 is another subject. And I'm a person who would believe that sticking by to that particular schedule is very important for you to be disciplined.
Yeah.
This service requires you to be disciplined, and that comes from the day you think about it and you start preparing about it. Preparation phase is very important, because it decides whether you will end up in this service or whether you'll be doing something else. A person who's not disciplined is very less likely to get through this exam, because it's an exam of nerves and one has to be disciplined about it. Also, it's a suggestion that a lot of people do it with their jobs, and they manage their studies as well. But if possible, take a break from your job, because your mind has to be on one page, and it has to be in one direction for you to be able to crack this exam. The competition has increased a lot. So you can only write better than the other person if you have studied well and have gone through most of the topics, right? Otherwise, there are things that are there in the books, and that you and the other person will be writing. If you'll be writing the same thing, then that is not going to get you good marks. If you give some specific more time and energy towards your studies, only then you will know what extra you should write to be able to get you good score. Iske alawa, this exam is basically of nerves, which is is very exhausting, not only physically but mentally as well. There are 12 exams, and 12 exams are like 2 in a day, and one exam is of 3 hours. You must make sure that you sleep well, you eat well during those days, and you with besides revising everything, you must also be mentally relaxed for the next day or for the next exam. Also, do not look at the other person studying, because that person might have like a pile of books, and you might have just like 5 pages of the revision, and the number of books, or the amount of books, or the amount of pages that he has written does not guarantee his success. And similarly, if you have written less, or if you have written made a few notes, and if you have read limited things, but your content is different and is relevant, and you're very good with writing it, so that is going to get you good score. So punctuality is important. You have to be very disciplined in it. You have to make sure that you are properly using you have properly made a schedule and you're following it. And you have to make sure that you work very hard. Success is a big fan of those who work hard. So work hard and in the right direction.
Yeah.
And for the women, um, see, we are yet to make our name in this country or in
True.
this world, specifically in this country, because we are far, far, far behind other countries who have given empowerment to the women. So how you carry yourself and how you talk to others, or how you dress, or how you talk, or how you inspire others, has a huge impact on what our future generations and how our future girls will be treated. So make sure that you easily leave a space for the younger generation to come, instead of creating hurdles for others, and instead of creating an image that women should not be given such positions, or women should not be given a space to move ahead or walk up the stairs. So make a good name, and at the same time be a helping hand to those who are coming in the service or in your whatever job you're doing, but make a space for them. And we have to support each other. Women, it's a concept that women is a woman would not support another because she might be jealous of her success. Women are, some women are like this, not all. So you have to make sure that you support the other person.
It's
and
very
you have to
important
pull
for a woman to support another woman. It's
and
very
you have to pull
important.
her up.
Yes.
It's not like that is going to harm you in any manner. Pull her up, make a space for the another generation, so that we all make a name together.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You have talked about the direction, तो उससे मेरे mind में, because I have recently read it somewhere that direction is very important, because it's actually better than the speed, because a lot of people are going nowhere very fastly. So this is something I have gone through, so I felt like sharing it with those who are listening as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming in today. Thank you so much for your time, and it was really insightful.
Thank you for having me, and I hope whatever I said makes sense. And if there's anything other than this that I can assist any aspirant in, that person can contact me on my social media accounts.
All right. So if anybody needs any kind of help or guidance, they can reach you out on your Instagram.
On my Instagram, on my Facebook, on my Twitter. I usually use Twitter and Instagram more, so yes, they can reach me out there.
Okay, so this brings another question to my mind: Instagram or Twitter? Another rapid fire.
Instagram. I used to like Twitter, but it has, since the day it has become X. It has become, I don't know, the features have changed and I stopped liking it more. So yeah, Instagram.
You're an Instagram person now.
I am.
Okay. So anybody that needs help, they can reach you out on your Instagram page. We'll display your Instagram page as well. Sure. All right. So thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much for your time. And it was really great talking to you. And I'm really looking forward to call you someday again for more conversation, because we are running short of time now. So thank you again. For all those who are watching, thank you so much for watching. And if you have liked today's episode, don't forget to share it with your friends and family. And like always, if you have any comments or suggestions for the upcoming topics or guests, you can always reach out to us on our social media platforms. We love hearing from you. This is NOA's podcast. I am Nasia Sardar, and I'll see you in the next one.